All right, we are now live. Hello to everyone who is or will watch to Build a Better You Facebook group for accountability and learning new tips and ways to be more successful in hitting your goals, hitting your excuse me, your better you habits. So today's topic is build a or building healthy habits, building better health habits, whatever way you want to to hear it. Because I feel that a lot of times in my line of work, what I do on a one-on-one basis with my client is really trying to help the client figure out why we can't do the hard thing. Why, when we know that I need to, let's say, go to the gym 4 times a week, we know that. Why don't we do that? Why is it that it is so easy to give up on that goal, even if all the chips fall where they may lie? Like you can have this perfect environment and it's still very hard to meet that. Or you want to eat 3 meals a day. Just a simple goal. Sometimes it's really hard to meet those goals, and why our willpower doesn't let us. So that's what we're going to be learning about today. I kind of touched on it last week about SMART goals and starting small. But yes, so today we're building healthier habits. And I wrote this slogan down: progress over perfection. And that mentality of, if I can't do it all right, I might as well not do it at all, is probably your best tool for finally breaking that rut, that part of your mental state that keeps you from progressing at all. So when we think about what behavior change is, behavioral change is modifying human behavior, which is very complex. And it has a lot of nuances for each and every person. But my sources here say that a behavior is 3 parts. You have a trigger, you have a motivation, and you have the ability to complete this behavior. And so, without even knowing, we have a lot of behaviors that we have taught ourselves, we have taught our brain. Just like, let's say, when you're around your favorite dessert, you smell it, you see it, you have the memories of it. That is the trigger. That is a trigger. And then you go to say, should I eat it or not? You have a motivation to taste this really good dessert, but we have to have the ability to stick to the goal. If it was to not eat the dessert, that doesn't have to be the goal. But if your goal was to not eat it tonight because you made it tonight and it's for a dinner tomorrow, you have like a why. You have a why of why you shouldn't eat it. So there is triggers, there's motivations, and then the ability to complete this behavior change. So when you're looking at your own life and you're reflecting on something that you want to change, you need to identify these 3 things. What is it that makes me want to do this thing that maybe you're trying to avoid? Like maybe eating late at night. What is your motivation for why you want to do those things. And then, do you have the ability to, or the tools to complete this goal? And so, behavior change is intense, it's complex, like I said. So, when you are setting yourself up to meet one of these goals, one of these SMART goals, what I do with my clients is I pare it down to almost laughably easy. I had a client last week who told me that making a salad was was a trigger in that it was too overwhelming. Okay. And to someone who might not have that same trigger, it might be silly. But for her, opening a bag of bag salad and then putting extra like chopped veggies and protein and things, all those extra steps was enough for her to say, I don't want to do it. And so I asked her, and I said, why do you get overwhelmed? And again, she said, it's all the extra work I have to do. And I asked her, what if you didn't have to do that extra work? Would you eat the lettuce with, something that you can pour out of a container that makes it so you don't have to do the chopping? She goes, yeah, I could do that. So all of a sudden we broke that barrier, that made it to where, she'd rather go pick up fast food than make this bag salad because it felt too hard. So our goal was literally to buy pre-chopped veggies, a bag of salad, and a source of a protein that takes no cooking or preparation, and eat a salad one time this week. And you might think that's a silly goal. However, when you compare back those challenges, those triggers that make you shut down versus push you towards doing the goal, you begin to build on these. We do the small goals so that we can do harder goals down the road. One thing I learned early in my career was a brain hack. I don't really like that word, but the word is there because you can be smarter than your brain, because our brains are designed to do the easy thing, to conserve energy, to do what it's most accustomed to. So if you are somebody that starts and stops diets very often, I have some bad news for you. When you start the next diet, you will quit that diet. Not because you don't have enough willpower, not because it's not the right diet, not because it wasn't the right macros or whatever for you. It's because you have made a habit of starting and stopping. So your brain knows we started something, now we're going to stop. Okay? So we have to change the verbiage. We have to outsmart our brain and say, just because I'm starting this new lifestyle, we can't call it a diet because just that thought alone can tell your brain that eventually we will stop this. And then also changing very little at a time, because your body will purposefully stop you from completing this new lifestyle change because it is too much. It's too much energy pushing forward, too much change that your body makes you stop. Your brain makes you stop. So you think, I have all the willpower, why can't I do it? Your brain is working against you when you change too much too soon, or you don't recognize that this is like a different a different way of doing it. So in behavior change, which is a lot of what I do one-on-one with my clients, like I've said, we have to take it slow. We have to find what works for you. Where are your walls that are getting built? How do we break those without it feeling so overwhelming? Because it's important to understand that this is for the long haul. If you can't do these changes forever, then it is a diet. It is not a lifestyle change. And I'm about lifestyle change. So I think that is very important to understand when you're trying to do something better in your life, is to not take on too much too soon. I loved when I had clients back in my corporate job, and they'd be so fired up. They're like, I'm going to work out 7 days a week and I will track my food 7 days a week. And I said, are you sure? And I always hated to sounding like the Debbie Downer. But I know too much about human behavior and old habits that I really kind of wanted to bring them back to reality. Like, you have kids, you have a job, you have responsibilities at your local church. Like, their life is going to happen. And what happens in our brain, if you say, I'm going to do this 7 days and you only do it 4, you've taught your brain that you don't do what you say you're going to do. But if you make the goal, I'm going to go to the gym 2 times this week, especially if you're going 0. Going from 0 to 7, not a good idea. But if your goal is go 2 times to the gym and track my food for 3 days this week, now it feels a lot more attainable, realistic, specific, those SMART goals. Now when you meet those goals, you feel empowered. You've trained your brain to accept that when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And that's like the brain hack, right? You have to go outside of what your brain wants to do, and go for what's realistic so that we can, again, start building on those goals. Keep them small. There is no shame in keeping them small, but it's better to complete them and teach your brain that we can do this. We are going to do what we say, and that's in everything in life, not just diet and exercise, in anything, in family life and in work life. These are the book that I read that I mentioned that changed my thought on this early in my career is called Stop Saying You're Fine by Mel Robbins. I love her. But in her book, there's like a reference to weight loss and all of these habit changing methods. But she again says it's anything from work life, family life, all the things. So it's not just in health and lifestyle change, but it definitely works the same way because our brain is pre-programmed. We have done these things for so many years that we've been alive, and it's not going to just change overnight. We kind of have to sneak in the side door to trick our brain basically into making these changes because it will fight against you, unfortunately. So when we measure our progress, we also have to keep those really realistic. I just had a client leave who, after our 6-week package session, he didn't love his numbers. However, he had gained a whole lot of muscle mass, and lost fat mass, but his total number wasn't as low as it was before. He did go on vacations. He admitted things like that. But anyways, I told him, I was like, you were able to run a 5K. His clothes fit better. He's stronger. He's been more efficient at work. And so when we make these small goals, we have to also look at what we call non-scale victories or non-scale wins. A lot of times we only look at the number on the scale and we don't see how else it's affected us in our life. So when making these behavior changes, we have to be very open and receptive to different methods of measuring progress. And that's another really cool thing about working with a dietitian is we're very aware of those things that happen. And I will ask you about them and we'll talk them over, and it will kind of, again, change that perspective. We have this we've had this generation of people that put so much weight on that number on the scale that we forget that we're a whole human being with a lot of other things going on, and the weight on the scale is just a number, and we have to feel better and want to live longer and be healthier. And so there's different ways to measure as we make some lifestyle changes, some behavior changes. So that's another really important thing I want to make sure that we focus on. So for this week, I would love, and I see there's 3 people on here. I don't know how to use this very well, so I don't know which 3 people you are. But for this week, I want to challenge you to set a goal between now and next week. I know next week is Thanksgiving, which is a tough one for a lot of people. But please don't be overwhelmed. Enjoy Thanksgiving. This is one meal out of a 7-day week. It will not derail you. But enjoy your Thanksgiving. But before then, I would love for you to set a SMART goal, another SMART goal. Again, I'm trying to hold you guys accountable. And if you're willing, you can put it in the posts. You can make it anonymous if you like. But I would love to see a SMART goal. And then on next week, we can reflect on a non-scale victory. Like, let's say my goal this week is to go to bed 30 minutes earlier than I did before. And then when you complete those things, then you can get to Wednesday and say, hey, I was less drowsy at 3 o'clock. I didn't want a night snack because I was going to bed. So those are those non-scale victories. So I want you to be open your eyes to those non-scale victories, but also set yourself a SMART goal for this week. And do have a happy Thanksgiving. I'm gonna wrap up now. I do want to put an announcement, and I'll make a post about this too, because next Thursday is Thanksgiving. I will be doing my live on Wednesday, the day before. So put your questions on the feed if you have any questions. I will try and do a little better as far as staying engaged and asking questions and watching posts. And if you can invite a friend, that would be great. I am towards the end going to put all y'all in a drawing for a month free of meal planning and recipes based on you and your needs and your family's needs. So you let me know what questions you have, and I can't wait to see more people join our group. So you guys have a great weekend coming up, and I will talk to you on Wednesday. Thank you. Bye.